Hello, everybody. My name's Michelle Davis, and I'm doing my knitting vlog number 2. And I'm an Aussie knitter, as you can tell by my accent, on the Gold Coast. And I'm going to share with you what I've been doing over the last couple of months as a beginning knitter in a climate that isn't particularly cold. All right, so I'm going to share with you what I've been working on and the information in the links below. I've got my Ravelry page where my project pages are all set up because I absolutely love Ravelry in the way that it allows you to track what you're working on, which is super exciting. And I'm going to share with you my very first finished object. So, as a knitter, I learnt very young and then left it. Like I think I knit a cardigan a very long time ago. I would be early teenager when I did it. Beautiful cream cardigan. Took me ages, but I wore that thing to bits. And I haven't knit since. And then over the holidays, it's currently 2022. So in December, my daughter, who was 10, got given a crochet kit, and I was helping her learn crochet. It lasted about half an hour before she decided it wasn't for her because she couldn't get it straight away. So the craft bug didn't bite her straight away. But I was helping her crochet, and then I just got hooked into remembering that I can do all these wonderful things with fibercraft and connecting back to that, really. So as a 40-year-old woman, it was also over this holiday. We had Omicron go through and a lot of our states shut down. So it was a really good time to sort of pick up something that was easy to do, something I had some skill in. I love learning. On my background, I'm a teacher. So just the ability to reconnect to something that my mum used to be amazing at, my grandma was amazing at, now I get to. So for my first finished object, I went kind of all in. Like, I think what I'm learning is that I'm definitely a process knitter and I like to learn as I go. So I really feel like once I've learned something, oh, I've got it. Move on. And I'm getting that feeling, as you can get from the title of this Facebook Live, which is Cast-on-itis, where I want to try all the things. So my first finished object is actually a test knit. I was watching Aro of Aro Knits and Pearls, beautiful podcast, love her to bits. And she was like, I love doing test knits because she's a very experienced knitter, but she goes, I like working to a deadline. I'm like, that resonates with me. I like the idea of working to a deadline. As a teacher, I also love learning, but also providing feedback. So both of those things really appeal to me. And I love that community that is part of doing a test knit. So I got onto Yarn Pond and made an account. And when I decided, okay, I'm going to do a test knit, see what's out there, this beauty popped up. So I have weaved in my ends. I just haven't cut them all off. So this is my very first finished object. So color-wise, because it's a Facebook Live, this is kind of washing out, but it is a violet purple color and a yellow, and it's this beautiful yoke design, and it's the sleeves have got a corrugated rib and the same across the bottom. And it's only curling up because it's been blocked, but it's just been folded waiting to be worn because we're in the middle of summer. So beautiful big object to sort of start off with. I am a 48-inch bust, and so I did a couple of inches of ease, and I did her size K or L. One of those two letters is in my head for some reason, and it will be coming out. Our test knit doesn't finish until the middle of next month. And so I've had plenty of time to finish it, but I just love doing it so much. So color work appealed to me, learning how to do it. Where people show you like their floats on the inside, they look so much better after you block. Like, that was crazy. I couldn't believe that. So I tried not to go too long because that's what people recommended, not making floats go too long. I watched a lot of YouTube videos learning how to do it, but the group was really good. Like, as far as the test knit group, like I could ask all sorts of questions in Yarn Pond, and the designer of this is Jules Coco. Her Instagram is down below. This has got a wonderful name that I can't say, which is like I apologize. I'm going to butcher this. I'm just going to open up my Ravelry real quickly so I can look at. It's called the Sternhimmel. I can't say it, sorry. But lovely. And it was so addictive to knit. Like this pattern, keeping track of what's going where. It was so much fun. Like totally, I think colorwork is going to be a thing, as you'll see when I show you some of the other things. But like literally everything's new. Like I've never knit top down before. I've never changed needles before. I've never tried to have meat gauge. And so all of this is a wonderful learning experience. And I was really cool with that. Like I'm really okay with just having a go. Now, this yarn is just acrylic yarn. So very super affordable, nothing too fancy. Here in Australia, we have a big box craft store called Spotlight. And they have these bags of like $10, around half a kilo of yarn, all different sorts. Mainly it's is acrylic stuff that is available, all different colors, all different weights. Nothing is banded, so you've got no idea. There is a beautiful Facebook group that like tells you the names of like the yarn based on all these people's experience of being able to identify it from sight. So I just used a bag, and then a bag of the purple, which came with 3 270-gram, and it's a DK. From what I can tell, it's an 8-ply strand, and I then paired that with a yellow because I love the two together. However, in saying that, these are different weights of yarn. This yellow is a lot thicker. I would think that this would be more of a worsted weight with a DK because one, it felt thicker, but I didn't care. I just wanted to get going. And there is some puckering in here because some of my floats aren't loose enough. That was the first thing I learned as I tried to loosen and it didn't work. But I've also got some puckering in my moons. Like there's a little ridge over the top of every moon because of this bulk of this yellow, and it's thicker than the purple. It's kind of making bubbles. I don't care. So it means that this beauty was like under $20 to make in Australia for yarn. And yes, it's acrylic, but it's lovely and soft. And I just learnt so much. I did needle size, started with the recommended, going everywhere. And then when I went to stockinette, realizing that I needed to go up a needle size to get the stockinette. So my learning experience from this is to go up a needle size here so that when I go to the body and do the right gauge for the body, which I gauge swatched for the body, but I gauge swatched, and it's not because I'm knitting. It's not so much knitting tighter. I would just say that because of the bulk of the fabric here, going down a needle size means that when I go to just stockinette and I start to loosen my stitches because there's just the freedom of going round and round in circles, I need to then, that needs to be at gauge. So what I found is I'm too big down the bottom compared to gauge. However, I just kept going and tried it on. The beauty of a top down is I can do that. So absolutely love this. And so I've linked the designer from Instagram on, so you can follow along for when she releases this one. But it was just so much fun, such a nice, easy pattern to follow. And, everything was new to me. So I've got some funniness here where I was joining. Sometimes they're perfect and sometimes they weren't. So that's something I've got to learn. I have quite big upper arms, so I did change I kept the width straight out for quite some inches before I did my decreases, and I made full length arms, and this sits just above my hip. So it's a little bit shorter than what I'd like, but because it was Millen's bag, I couldn't go buy more balls because none of my local Spotlights had any extra yarn in that color from when I bought it. So it is what it is, and I love it for that. And you can tell by my mindset, it's just a matter of let's do it. Let's try. Let's learn. Let's give myself permission to do things imperfectly. And as my skills increase, so too the yarn in like the quality I'm playing with. But what I'm finding is that I like just trying new things. So it's like the next project I choose has to have something new or different about it so that I am invested. All right, so this guy, first finished object. The only other thing that I have finished is a whole lot of yarn cozies. So I have a little bag I don't have with me, a little bag that I sit in my car, and it goes with me wherever I am, and it's a crochet hook and a ball of cheap acrylic, and I am making yarn cozies. So here is some of the yarn cozies I've been making, and this is just like a $2 ball. And so I have found a pattern that was inspired on it'll be on a project page, and it'll also be in my liked, but I didn't follow it exactly. I kind of just learned how to do the bottom, how to turn the corner, and how to come the top, and how to end it off. And I just knit these things when I am waiting to pick up my kids, or when I'm stuck in super duper bad traffic and literally parked because the highway has been so blocked lately. I haven't been able to move. I use it when I go to appointments and have to sit there and wait. So it's just this beautiful, simple project I can do, and I'm just using up old yarn. And when I say it's old, it's like super duper old. So then when I wind up the yarn, I can then just pop it in as I work. It doesn't squish it in, but it is a nice, like, it's a firm enough hole, but there's still enough give. And even when it gets all floppy in the middle, because it's been so firm to the sides and it's got a texture on it, it still grips to the edges as I'm keeping on pulling out from the middle. So I have a set of yarn cozy. In fact, the project I'm working on now, they all three yarn cozies match. I didn't mean it like that, but I happen to just be making a bunch. And so they are all the same type, roughly the same size. I think some of them are slightly different, but I tried to, once I found out how my yarn ball winder tends to make balls of a certain size, then that's the ones I'm going to keep on making. So that's been super exciting. And I've made a batch of these. I've got a white ball of yarn in there and some others. So they would be classed as my other finished objects. And I've done 3, 4, about 8 or 9, maybe 10 of them now, and where I've just pumped through, lovingly made these as I'm walking along, and everyone just gets used to mummy crocheting something. Finding knitting two hands, taking a knitting project, and the slipping of stitches just freaks me out a little bit too much. And so I just, by doing these in crochet, I can just have one hand free, pull the yarn a little bit, dump it in back into the bag, and I'm not going to drop any stitches or lose anything because I'm constantly working on that same one loop. All right. So the other one I'm doing is I'm doing another test knit at the moment. And so again, I got drawn into this test knit. It is through Yarn Pond again, and it's by Beach House Knits. On Instagram, that's linked down below, as well as the project pages on my Ravelry. And this one I liked because it was color work, but it was kind of looser and it was a different gauge yarn. So again, trying something different. So let's see how this is still a work in progress. So I am working on the binding, the ribbing at the bottom at the moment. And so spin. This is it. Ooh. Okay, so this is obviously top-down yoke, color work, and it's got these, it's like a flower motif, flower at the top with some greenery in the middle and some flower at the bottom. It's got wrap stitches down here, which was new, and it's a sport weight yarn, this one. This I actually went and purchased because sport weight is not something you can find very easily in Australia. And so my local yarn store, which is at Beanley Me Mother's Creations, that's linked down below as well. They have this really lovely store that is for Queensland fully tripped out in all sorts of yarn. And so I went through, found their sports section and picked out some colors, bought the amount of balls recommended, or what do you call them, skeins recommended in the pattern +1, because the pattern was it's more cropped than I would like. So I bought another ball just to make sure that I can get the length going down that I want, which I've been able to do. So I have gotten the body and all the way down to the detail at the bottom. Now, this isn't part of the pattern. I just repeated the top of the color work just down the bottom for something different, because I wanted to see how color work would go sitting around my hips, trying something new. And then I'm just doing ribbing. It didn't ask for a different color ribbing, but I have all this other color that I really love and I wanted to use up. So I'm just doing a different color at the bottom, and then I will go on to sleeves. I have used pretty much 3 of this on here. This is a size 6 I'm making. So I've used 3 balls of here and barely anything for the color work. So I bought 1 ball of the green color and 1 ball of this darker pinky purple color, and I've got stacks left over. So, and I've done extra color work down the bottom plus the band and still more left. So I'm thinking about doing something on the arms as I head down, but I might not do, I don't know, might be too much. I will get a feel for that as I get to my elbow and try it on and then make a decision. But it's lovely and sizing up perfectly as well. Things that were new about this one, wrap stitches were new, but also I signed on for these test knits pretty close together. So I think now I've got a feel for what I like in my color work and construction. So I'm really looking for, well, what next? So I'm thinking textured stuff might be the next thing. But yeah, this is it. Beautiful. This has got, what's it called? It's by Beach House Knits. This is called the Floral Alchemy, the Floral Alchemy sweater, but it's lovely. And different colors will obviously give it a different look, but they're the ones I've chosen. They were also all that I could get a hold of in a short amount of time. So that is a Universal Yarns DK Baby Sport DK. It's on the project page. And I am really loving working on that. And again, like I said, I'm just trying, what does color work look like down the bottom? Do I like that? And I'm considering, the sleeves on this one, because I've got yarn to spare. The style has got a bit more sleeves stay out for quite some way and then come down, so it gets that balloon sleeve look, which I'm sort of looking forward to as well, to playing with. So that'll be that one. Okay, so they're my 2 sweaters, jumpers, we call them in Australia. And I have another work in progress. So this is by Paintbox Yarns. It's a free pattern, and this is the bubble cardigan. It's several years old by the looks of it, but my daughter saw it and wanted it. So I will grab one of this. This is one of the front sides I'm working on at the moment. So here it is here. So this is a knit 5 below pattern. So it creates this textured bubble feel. My daughter didn't want one that was like super tight. She really wants the texture of soft and squishy. So I am making this it's a large yarn, which is what it calls for anyway. But I couldn't find everything perfect. So when we went to the shops, we found this green. Again, it's the Spotlight Millens bag. So I don't know what brand they are. They're acrylic something or other. So I've got this chunky green, this muted green that I'm working on, and it's quite thick. I think that this is like it's definitely bulky, if not super bulky kind of yarn. And so I'm using that, but then we couldn't find a complementary. She really wanted like this neutral. So I'm like, I'm going to try several yarns held together to get a texture. And so I ended up finding, so 2 of these are just acrylic browns, like a really soft beigey color. And then also at Spotlight, there is this, it's called Faux Mo, Fauxmo at Spotlight, and it's their brand of mohair basically, but it's acrylic. And so if I hold these all together, I get something that is very close to what I'm already using, and it has a really nice soft and squishiness and the fuzziness that my daughter is after. So that is one of the panels. I have knit the back, just following the instructions as they're written, nothing crazy. So okay, I've just got a stitch holder holding the neckline. So that was the back panel. And then there's some active neck stitches that are just sitting on this stitch holder that I have. It's my mum's, so it's like a bajillion years old from when she was knitting. But I think I'm knitting the second size up just so it's got some room. It's got enough stretch and give anyway. She's going to get some good use out of it. So this is a somewhat thinking knit, so I can do this one in front of the TV because I don't have to super duper concentrate, but I have to concentrate enough at some row. I need to do a thinking and do all the knit downs, and then the rest is just backwards and forwards. So enjoying that and enjoying holding yarns together. doing a textured stitch, something that is not made for my body but for somebody else's body, so trying things on another person. So I'm really enjoying that project for my daughter. The other thing that I am working on is a mystery knit along, because why not just jump in as a beginner to all sorts of fun new things. So I do think that this is my knitting approach is definitely just going with enjoyment, doing the things you love, and you'll figure the rest out as you go. That there's nothing beyond me. So I am doing a mystery knit along, which I didn't even know what it was. Basically, things get released every week. And so I'm doing the As You Wish mystery knit along. It is with Lyrical Knits, which is, I think her name's Marianne, who is running it. I get a Facebook group with this, which is really quite cool. So you can join the Facebook group and do the knit along. And so I am in week 3. Week 4 is out. Tomorrow, week 5 is out, and I'm behind because I've been working on finishing these two knits, and this is a thinking project. Like, I need to carve out time and sit quietly and focus because it's got a lot going on and it's a lot of new stitches for me. So there's a lot of thinking work. So what we're making is a shawl, a big rectangle, which kind of suits me because in Queensland, I can do a scarf, but like I wanted to see what it would be like to knit. So I wanted to choose the 4 colors. There was rules about colors. And so I'm like, I'm going to specifically buy something that I really love the colors for. And so I look at my wardrobe and the palette I tend to wear, which is very, as you can tell by my 2 knits, like very mauve, dusk pink, plus pops of teal and a mustard. Like, they're the colors that I tend to gravitate towards. So again, I don't know if this is the right choice. I decided to put them all together. So I have, these are my other cozies. This is, it's a brand called, it's called Alpaca Wool. It's made by Everyday Mali, M-A-L-I. And so these are 50 skeins of yarn. It is 50% acrylic, 50% alpaca. And I got the 4 colors. And so I got 2 balls of each because we needed 100 grams. So I've got like this yellow, the teal, a dusky pink, mauvey color, and this one. So I think their names are pretty basic. This is called Blush. This is called Fig Pink. It's coming out it's quite a deep purple. It's actually redder than that. It's coming out quite blue. It's a different color. And then there's a teal, and then there's the yellow. That's the names. So I had to decide what color goes with what, and we give instructions and recommendations about what it is, and then we knit it. So I'm not going to give away lots of it because we're still learning, but we've got, this is all scrunchy because it's alpaca and it's super stretchy and it's not blocked. So that's like part of it as we're going. And there's all sorts of stitches going on, and it is so much fun. So you can tell by the name, As You Wish, an inconceivable mystery knit along. This is based on The Princess Bride, and she does a whole bunch of other ones now that I found her that are like based on other pop culture references. So absolutely loving that, but it's a thing I've got to sit down and focus on, and it comes with videos. And as a beginner, you watch and you do it, and you just keep track of what you're doing. And I'm taking the approach that, you know, if there's an extra row here or there, or the stitch is off by 1 or 2, I'll figure it out. No big deal. It's just knitting. It'll keep working through, and I will make an object. I think getting to the end is, I'm not unhappy with it. If I really stuff something up, I would redo it, but I haven't yet so far, and I'm just really enjoying it and keeping on going with that. What else do I have? That's all as far as active projects. So I've got my jumper going, got my daughter's one going, and I've got my scarf as well. So I've answered a lot of questions, like I have talked a lot about where things are coming from. And so what's going on my needles soon? So in Queensland, our weather's starting to turn. We're heading into autumn now for us. And so I've done 2 projects, which are test knits, which are definitely things that I will wear later in the year. So more into that end of May, June, July, August, because they are slightly warmer. But I haven't got anything in between or anything summer. And I did start a summer project, but I ripped it all back because I had just so many mistakes that, it was like a little bit here and a little bit there. And it got to the point where you could look at it and I could see these it wasn't drop stitches, but it was like wrong stitch here or a gap here, and I was learning techniques. And so I was laddering in places while I was doing magic circle, and things just got to a point where I'm like, that's no longer an acceptable number of mistakes for me. So I just undid it all and have got that cotton yarn ready to do something with. So I'm thinking something that like 3/4 sleeve, V-neck, and something with a pattern or a texture, because I don't want to do necessarily more color work. I've had my fun for that for the time being. I'd like to do something that's textured. So I'm looking for a pattern on Ravelry that sort of fits that criteria. I also picked up some really thin lace weight acrylic, like here it is. It was on special. It's called the Summer Knits Essentials, Summer Knit something. The tag is in the front of it. Liar brand, Summer Knits acrylic and polyester blend yarn. So it's a big chunk, and it's like this cool, like rainbow pastel, rainbowy kind of color. It looks just flat out grey right now. And there's stacks of it. It's really fine. It's like $2 a ball. There's so much of it here. So I just started playing with a little swatch just to see what it looked like. And so I've increased needle size in between each of these pearl bump rows, just to get a feel for what it feels like. And then I'm just using the strategy where, as I'm doing it, I just pull the yarn across, and then so I'm just constantly, as if I would be knitting in the round. But what I came up with this is that I thought it might be too busy to do a textured pattern with. Like if I have texture plus like a rainbow yarn, too much. But what I found is I don't think it is. Like just the way from that knit to this one little textured pearl row, it'll show off some nice patterns. So I'm looking for something really repeated all the way through. And I also bought just some light colored of that FOMO. It's like a gray, really pale gray color. And I was going to have a look at the next row that I do, throwing in some of this and increasing the needle size to see if I could get like what would it look like with the faux mohair in there, because I'm already holding it double. So that was me holding it double, and that's a 3.5 needle in there at the moment. So if I add in something extra, what would that be like? So I'm going to play with that little swatch and see what I get. I started at 3.25, and so I've just I think I said that 3.25. That's a 3.5, and I like the material the 3.5 gives. It's got some nice. It's much nicer than the bottom one. The bottom one's a bit too firm. I like this middle one, but what would it look like if I add some of the FOMO? And it's already acrylic, so adding more acrylic's not going to break anything. So I'm still playing with a swatch with that to figure out the material I like and the right kind of gauge. And then from that, I'll go looking for a pattern. And as long as I'm close to the pattern, I'm fine. I do like my my garments to be with ease. So if a couple of stitches here and there is not going to be too far disastrously wrong. So playing with that, and I think that's the main things I'm playing with. I've got some other yarn, some really thick stuff that I would like to do some garments with, but again, I'm still playing. I haven't committed to anything yet. So that is my up to date, what I've been working on and why I've been working on it. So I would love to, if you can like and subscribe if you're interested in the content. If you have any recommendations for like V-neck, 3/4 sleeve, cotton-based patterns that you've knit and it's worn really well with 100% cotton, I'd be interested. If you can leave those down below, that would be amazing to give me some patterns that are definitely worth investing the time into. I've got 4-ply cotton, if that helps you make a decision about what to recommend. So 4-ply cotton is a fingering weight. And so I will speak to you next time. So I'm thinking maybe once a month, but I've also got another video idea up my sleeve. So I might pop on before then. And have an awesome day, everybody. Bye.